What's goody? What's goody? What's goody? How we doing, Niner fans? It's Thursday. It's almost Friday, and the 49ers officially announced the contract of Fred Warner today. His 3-year extension, making him the highest paid linebacker in the National Football League. We could talk about that. Talk about a little bit of Brock Purdy. He had a little interview. He was all over the place today, making the rounds on KNBR 957 The Game. He said a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We talked about his contract extension. Actually, no, I wasn't home to talk about the contract extension yesterday. So, or the press conference. We'll talk a little bit about the press conference, some of the stuff that he said. Man, it's good stuff about Brock, man. And then the 49ers rehired, or they hired an old hire, maybe in the front office position somewhere. We'll talk about that. But, some good news, some really good news. Yesterday, I was at the Dwight Clark Legacy Series. I was there, so I get to talk to you about that. Diamond Lenore got honored as the Dwight Clark Award recipient this year. George Kittle presented him the award. We'll talk a little bit about that. Fred Warner and everybody else that was there, some alumni. It was a pretty cool event. I go to those every year. I think I missed 1 year, and it's a pretty fun event. But they used to be a little better. It used to be like the state of the franchise and hype the crowd up, and they'd announce like the jerseys or something. I thought they were going to do something like that this year. I mean, it's still a fun event, but I think it always could be better, But anyways, we'll talk about that. But the big news of the day is the 49ers officially extended Fred Warner, and now all the contracts are officially taken care of. George Kittle, Brock Purdy, and Fred Warner. What a fantastic offseason. And the big thing we've been talking about is there's no drama. I absolutely love it, man. The 49ers took care of their guys, and, now they can focus on football. Fred Warner talked to, the media the other day, and he talked about Brock Purdy. But more specifically, I want to talk to you about what John Lynch said about Fred Warner in the statement. This was the official statement on Fred Warner, being officially signed to the 49ers on his 3-year contract extension. So John Lynch said, Fred Warner's leadership is exemplary and his approach to his craft is contagious. He said, Fred sets the tone for our entire team with the consistency, speed, and physicality with which he plays. Off the field, his passion, energy, and professionalism are second to none and truly embody what it means to be a Niner. We are extremely proud to get this extension done and lock Fred in for the future. So they're happy. They got their guy, and he is a very professional player on and off the field. I saw him yesterday. He was at the Dwight Clark Legacy Series. He comes in, there was a bunch of alumni. There was like Charles Haley and Garrison Hurst, and a couple other players out there. But, Fred comes in, and you can just see he had like that vibe, man. He just was holding it down with these old school Niner players, and it was dope, man. So it was good to see, and he's very well-spoken, and, we know how good he handles himself, as a 49er through and through. So good stuff, man. And Fred Warner, he just embodies what it means to be a 49er. He's the heart and soul of the 49ers team. So he's the best in the NFL, according to Christine Workman, and I think we all can agree on that. We know Fred Warner is he is the best linebacker. He is all-pro Fred. He has worked his ass off from being a third-round pick to being the top dog at the position. That's why he's the highest paid linebacker for the second time in his career. It's crazy. He set the market a few years ago, and then he did it again. So he's played such a high level. He's so good that he set the market twice in his career. That shows you how good Fred Warner is. And it's amazing to know, where he's kind of just come along over the last couple of years. So good stuff, man. I love Fred Warner, and, he got to meet John Lynch. They dapped it up while he signed his contract, as they always do. And the coolest thing, they posted this video on social media. 49ers linebacker coach Johnny Holland, he came into the room. He, congratulated Fred Warner. This is a guy that's very important in Fred Warner's career. He's the reason, him and D'Amico Ryans have really worked him. And Robert Saleh, those guys really worked and helped develop, Fred Warner. And D'Amico left. He became a coach. Robert left. He became a coach. He's back. But the main guy was always there, Johnny Holland, and he's a fantastic linebackers coach. So it's cool to see, Johnny get to see that special moment. And he says, if you work real hard, you're going to be famous. And Fred Warner worked really hard, and now he's famous. So pretty cool to see all the behind the scenes that the 49ers posted about Frederico. And, you know, of course, the content was nice on the social media team. But today, Brock Purdy made the rounds on the interview circuit. So let's talk about a little bit what Brock Purdy said today. He was on KNBR. He was on 957 The Game. He said a lot, man. And he did say, they asked him straight up, do you think you're a top 10 quarterback? He says, yes, sir. For sure. I'm a top 10 quarterback. I'm going to leave it at that. He's confident. He doesn't need to sit there and elaborate. In his mind, he knows he's the top 10 quarterback, and he knows what he has to do in order to prove himself. But he believes he's a top 10 quarterback. I think he is, and that's why he got paid as a top 10 quarterback. So Brock Purdy, he's confident. And, you know, it's good to hear, you know, your quarterback to be confident. And now he's got to play with that confidence. He's got to go out there and back it up. We know he's got to prove himself. I know last year was a down year, but you could just tell the team loves him. They're rallying around him. Yesterday at the Dwight Clark Legacy Series, George Kittle came out and he says he has been a bigger vocal leader. We know he's been a good vocal leader. We know he's kind of like taken command of this team, but now he's even more of a leader. He's a 25-year-old kid, and he's telling these grown-ass men, you need to do this, you need to do this. And the more he kind of develops, the more he gets more confident in himself. Yeah, to tell you I'm a top 10 quarterback, that's him saying, yeah, I believe in myself. Now I need you, Fred Warner, to do this. I need you, Trent Williams, to go and block my ass on that left side. You know what I mean? Like, that is what he needs to do. And according to George Kittle, he says he's become an even bigger vocal leader, and it's great. And the locker room vibes are fantastic. You know, he said that today, that the locker room vibes are, you know, amazing. And he said it yesterday. You know, he said it yesterday that the vibes in the locker room are absolutely up. So, yeah, he says, am I a top 10 quarterback? Yes, sir, for sure. I'm a top 10 quarterback. I'm going to leave it at that. I love that answer. This is another thing he said today. He says, you know, the experts are saying that the 49ers Super Bowl window is closed. This was on KNBR. He says, I can tell you that nobody buys into what the outside world says. He said this many times throughout many interviews. And Brock Purdy says, I don't buy what the outside world tells you. He doesn't listen to the smoke. He said it many times. He doesn't care what the outsiders say. He says, just the energy here in our locker room and out on the practice field, everyone has a chip on their shoulder, which excites me because I feel like the best teams and the situations come from when people are doubting you. And that is absolutely true. When the Niners are doubted, they play better. When they're, you know, touted as the underdog, they always play with more fire. And I love it. I love it because we keep the receipts. We troll everybody. We roast everybody. And all those dumb takes from Colin Cowherd and everybody, and they make them look very, very silly. So it is pretty cool that Brock Purdy's, you know, keeping it at 100. And, you know, he doesn't care about, you know, what the outside world says. And he doesn't care about the criticism. And, you know, and he says, you know, again, the energy is just at an all-time high. And that's the one thing that we have heard from Fred Warner, from George Kittle, from Brock Purdy through these last couple of weeks. And last night, George Kittle at the, you know, Dwight Clark Legacy Series, he said it. He goes, the energy is absolutely amazing. Everybody's just so happy and everybody wants to play and they can't wait to get on the field. So it's a recurring theme. They're not just saying it, but you could see it, right? There's no drama. All the contracts are taken care of. So for Brock to sit here and tell you, hey, the energy is on an all-time high. And yesterday, I want to kind of pull up some of the things he said yesterday, the talking points. We'll kind of bring some of these up because I wasn't here to talk to you guys yesterday. I was out at the Legacy Series. But he did say we wanted to make sure we were working together with the organization to set everyone up for success. It wasn't about me just getting as much money as I could. He said, I think we ended up where we needed to be. I'm extremely happy where we ended up, and I think the Niners are too. He says, I just love playing football, and that's what I want to make the main thing. I didn't want to lose who I was throughout the process. And he says that the first offer was very respectful. There was no drama. And he found out while he was golfing. He was golfing with his wife, and he got a FaceTime. He was on, I think, hole 17 on a par 5. He was talking about it on KNBR this morning. He was golfing, and his agent's like, yo, you better pick up that. You got to pick that phone up. He was about to finish his round of golf, but John Lynch told him, hey, the news is out. He said, oh, crap, okay. So good for him. And, he also, the coolest, one of the funniest quotes that he said yesterday was, They asked him, "What's your first big purchase?" I actually talked to Larry the other day when we were live on our show, and he goes, "What would you ask him?" I said, "Ask him what he wants to buy. What was he gonna buy?" You know. And somebody did ask him that question, and he says, "I've always been a big fishing advocate. I was telling my wife, and she's annoyed with me, but he says, I'll say it, but I'd like to get a bass boat one day." He's a big fishing guy. He wants to. He's so humble. This man doesn't want a chain. He doesn't want a rollie. He doesn't want a big car. He wants a bass boat so he can go catch bigger fish. I love that answer. I was like, this guy's just so humble, man. He wants a fucking fishing boat. He just wants to go fish, guys. That's it. My boy Brock Purdy just wants to fish. You know what I mean? He just wants to go and get a fishing boat. And another great quote that he said yesterday was they asked him on the narrative he would take a pay cut because he's a nice guy, right? A lot of people say, oh, he's a nice guy. He can take a pay cut. Brock Purdy good to take a pay cut. This was probably the best quote he had yesterday. I was absolutely floored by this quote. He says, I don't know if there was a narrative of Brock's going to take a pay cut because he's a nice guy. He says, I want to get what I deserve. He said, I want to get what I deserve, but also surround myself with guys around me and not take every penny for myself. So he wasn't trying to get the biggest bag. He wasn't trying to get this massive contract. Like, yes, he got a big contract. He wasn't trying to get 60, 70 million, you know, like, yeah, his agent came out and said, hey, try to get 65, right? According to Adam Schefter a couple of days ago, they try to go for 65. Of course, negotiations. And he talked about, hey, negotiations are negotiations. You do what you got to do. But at the end of the day, he goes, I'm not just going to take a pay cut because I'm a nice guy. He says, I want to get what I deserve, but surround myself with players that are good for me. So at the end of the day, he wants to make sure he has his cake and eat it too. He wants to make sure he has players around him, right, that he can feel comfortable with, right? He needs weapons. George Kittle, right? You got Christian McCaffrey. You got Juwan Jennings. You got your guys. Maybe another guy, right? Hopefully Brandon Ayuk gets healthy, but they got those guys that they need, right? You can go out and get some big defensive help. But he also wants to make sure, hey, I still want to get what I deserve. And $53 million is absolutely fair with this market value. So he wasn't going to take a pay. People were saying take 40, take 30, take the Baker, right? Take 45. Hell, some people are saying take $30 million because you're a nice guy. Don't cripple the team. No, he said what he needed to do, got what he wanted, and he still has room for this team to get what they wanted. Hey, Fred Warner got paid, George Kittle got paid, and Brock Purdy got paid. So I love that, man. I think that was absolutely a great interview for his first press conference. He's just so humble. He's a very humble man. You know what I mean? So shout out to Big Brock. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Yep. Oh, Fred Warner. There it is, baby. Bass boats are pretty expensive. How much are bass boats? How much bass boats? How much is a bass boat? Price. So bass boat right here, a Malibu Wake Setter is $169,000. There's a Midnight Express, $939,000. This is actually a pretty penny. There's ones, a 2012. That's old school. 17K, $799 for a Bass Pro Shops Pond Prowler. Actually, that's a pretty penny for it. Yeah. Go get that boat. Go get that boat, Brocky. I love that for him. Absolutely love that for him. Yeah. I love that. I love that, man. You got to get his bag, baby. Got to get that bag. Oh, Fred Warner, he makes it Quill, Pen, official. He's officially official, baby. Let's go post this one out. Look at that. Here we go. Frederico Warner. He made it Quill, Pen, official, baby. That's it. Like that. Good stuff, man. I love Fred Warner. This guy, out of all the players, he's just been no nonsense. He's been from day one an absolute just dog. You know what you're gonna get out of him, and you know it's just great, man. Great to have Fred on the team. and get his contract extension. Fred Warner, you can't be happier for the guy. And also George Kittle and Brock Purdy, man, like all those guys, right? All of them. All of them. All of them, baby. All of them, baby. They're all so great. It's a good team, man. I just think, like I said, Brock Purdy, how he's saying the vibes are up. Everything's just great, man. It's a good ass feeling right now. So, boom, boom, boom. It's a good feeling. And the 49ers, I feel like right now, this is like the best offseason. This might be the best offseason they've had. Honestly, just the way everything's feeling, the way kind of the team is handling everything. I don't know. It's a good vibe. Let's see. Nope. Fred Warner, 49ers. There it is. 49ers linebacker Fred Warner makes it officially. Makes it Quill Pen. Well, Quill Pen. Pen official. There it is. A fish. I can't spell. Oh my God, I can't spell. Ah! Via 49ers. There we go. Good for Fred, man. He deserved that bag. He deserved that bag, baby. It's been a good offseason. We're going to talk about the offseason, all offseason. That has been one of the best off seasons because we can't keep talking about negative stuff. Last year was just one of those years where it's like, oh my God, are you kidding me? And this year, man, it's just, like I said, the vibes are at an all-time high. It's just nice, man, to know that your team is doing great. They're winning. They're not dramatic like last year, right? It's just, man, last year, oh man, it was horrible. It was horrible. It was so horrible last year. Just from the start of the offseason, right? The drama, the quarterback, or not the quarterback, the Brandon Ayuk controversy. And, oh, man, it just trickled into the actual season. Oh. 3-year contract. Officially. I got to post this for like 7 different platforms. It's crazy. So I'm busy all day. There we go. Okay, let's see. There's some more news today. Let's get to it. So the 49ers actually hired a couple people today. So they hired a former assistant GM. I'll talk to you about it. So 49ers this morning. They are set to hire former Jaguars assistant general manager Ethan Waugh. Waugh, according to Aaron Wilson. Waugh was previously with the San Francisco personnel department before working with the Jaguars. He was with the Niners for 17 seasons. He was actually with them for 17 years. Can you believe that? 17 years he was with the team. A long, long, long time. And he's back. 49ers get a guy that's worked with them before, front office. He probably is going to be the assistant GM, right? That's my guess because John Lynch, right? He lost Adam Peters last year to the GM of the Commanders, who's done a fantastic job. Needs a little help. So they got my boy Ethan Waugh, and he's going to be a part of their front office. We don't know exactly. They haven't announced exactly what his role is, but if you're, taking guesses, if you're betting, I would guess that it's going to be for the assistant GM position. And they also hired, this was an interesting one. They're bringing in Georgetown assistant wide receiver coach Stephen Amaoka, and he's going to be part of the Bill Walsh Diversity Coaching Fellowship. 49ers, they always build up these coaches, these fellowships. They get the diversity signings, and eventually they turn them into defensive coordinators, head coaches, something down the line, maybe a GM, something, who knows? Maybe in 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 years, he's going to be a guy that moves on, gets a big job, and gives his comp picks. I don't know. That's how the 49ers do it. They get these diversity minority hires. They make them great coaches. They go somewhere, and then 49ers get comp picks. So good for him. Again, they get the comp picks. A couple years down the line, if he becomes a head coach or something like that down the line, yeah, you never know. Or GM, who knows? But 49ers, they got a little bit of new blood in the coaching and front office. So the one that really was interesting to me was the Ethan Waugh pick move right there, because he has some special. He's had some years in the 49ers. Like, he was a long time 49er personnel member, 17 years, and now he went to the Jaguars for a couple of years. Trent Balk's gone, and he's gone, and now he's back with the Niners. So it'll be interesting to see what he does for John Lynch out there. I think he might be assistant GM, but we'll see. So. Let's see. Let's take a look at some of these questions. So Julius says bass boats are pretty expensive. Yeah, they really are. Christine says, how many years of quarterback drama? I mean, let's talk about it. First year, Brian Hoyer was here. That was an experience. And then after Brian Hoyer, you had that. Before that, you had Colin Kaepernick and Alex Smith. There was controversy there, right? And then, of course, Alex Smith went down with injury. Colin Kaepernick took over. And then all the years, and then, right, Harbaugh left. And he had Colin Kaepernick. He had the injury, the surgery, and then he tried to come back, and it was Colin Kaepernick and Blaine Gabbert. You remember that shit? Blaine Gabbert? I mean, even before then, with the quarterback, like Sean Hill, Alex Smith, there was like so much bad quarterbacks. But as we get closer to this era, right, it was Blaine freaking Gabbert, Hotline Blaine, and Colin Kaepernick. And then after that, here comes John Lynch. We got Brian Hoyer, because he wanted to get Kirk Cousins. Didn't get him. Kirk Cousins still didn't come. They went and drafted C.J. Beathard, right, because they wanted to do way out of their drafting that year was crazy. And then they got Jimmy Garoppolo middle of the season. He saved the team. He got a bag, right? At the time, he was the highest paid quarterback after a 5-game, stretch of games that they were sold. Tears the ACL. Unbelievable. They were like, whoa, we need a backup plan. They go get Trey Lance, and that was, disaster. Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo, and then they had in the middle Nick Mullins and C.J. Beathard, right? All those guys. Oh my God, headache city. And then they still drafted Brock Purdy, the last pick of the draft. Trey Lance, just the injuries caught up with him. Jimmy Garoppolo had to come in, and then he got hurt, of course. And then here we go, Brock Purdy, and we haven't looked back since. So it's been a wild amount of years. It's been a long time since 49ers have had some stability in the quarterback room. So, I mean, I know a lot of people doubt Brock. They hate Brock. They say this, that, and the other. But the guy's a stable person for us, and it's like nice not to have any questions. You know who your damn quarterback is. Is he the best quarterback in the league? No, but he's pretty damn good, and I think he's worth the $53 million. And we'll just see how it goes. I mean, you still got to put a good team around him. So. Nathan says, we've come a long way when it comes to quarterback. We really did. Sahaj says, we can finally have some peaceful, relaxing offseason without any drama and some relief. Signing Brock Purdy, Fred Warner, and George Kittle. It's so nice this offseason. Like, the vibes are so different. Like, I'm actually so relaxed. It's nice to get all this content, too. Be able to post and be busy and, post all the highlights and the official and just breaking news. It's like good news, man. Like, it's nice to be able to post this in the offseason because we feel hyped up. We're excited. Every week something new happens, and we're like looking forward to the next season. We got something to talk about. Usually the offseason just dry. Like, usually in the offseason, I'm looking at what the hell am I post today? I run this page 365 all the time, and it's like, what the fuck am I gonna post today? I'm gonna take a day off, and it's just like you forget, and then you start getting in this like lull of like, what the hell are we posting? Oh, there's nothing to post. Then you make up like some weird off-season content. It's just like, oh my God, we're only gonna really have a month of that. June to the mid of July. So that's good. There's not a lot of dead period this year. It's just content's flowing. And next week they're going to have OTAs. And then in 2 weeks, they're going to have media day, right? They're going to have the media day. So that'll be nice content. So, I mean, honestly, the Niners are going to give us some content all through the offseason this year. And it's usually not like that. We had, it's usually free agency, the draft, nothing. And then it's like rumors about contracts and drama. And, well, here comes Schefter saying, well, they're going to wait in this. Maybe they're going to trade this guy. This year, not at all. So, Julia says, should we be giving C.J. Beathard some flowers? I mean, at the end of the day, yeah. If it wasn't for trade in CJ Beathard and get in the comp pick, we don't get Brock Purdy. Like, thanks to CJ Beathard, in a way, we got Brock Purdy. If you know the story, right? You get the comp picks from certain players, and it ended up being 262. Shout out to that. So, yeah. Am I going to OTAs? I'll be at training camp. I don't think you can go to OTAs. They're not open unless you're media, like direct media fuckers. But I'll be at training camp for sure. And tonight, actually, I'm about to end the stream. But tonight, I got to get some paperwork done before I do this later. So tonight on KNBR, your sports leader. Your boy's going to be live with Larry Krueger for about 20 minutes. I think 6:15 to 6:20, 6:30, something like that. Let me see. He texted. I've been on it a couple times. I've been on. So he goes 6:15 or 6:30-ish tonight for a segment for roughly 20 minutes. So I got to stay by the phone. So if anybody has an emergency tonight between 6:15 and 6:30, I can't do it. I can't help you out. So I'll be live with Larry tonight for 20 minutes. We're going to discuss the Purdy contract, 1 or 2 draft review questions, and a record prediction. He says, a bold prediction. Who are you most excited to see in July at camp? Who should I tell him? Who am I most excited to see at training camp? Who should we give me some ideas? Let me see. Who should I tell Larry that I'm most excited to see? I don't know. I got a lot of maybe Ricky Pearsall, maybe Christian McCaffrey finally healthy. This year we didn't get to see him last year. You guys let me know. Who should I tell him that I'm most excited to see? One of the rookies, Mykel Williams. Brock Purdy, now you got his contract. Mac Jones, am I excited to see Mac Jones? The new running backs is AJ Bermuda. Okay, I got a question. Is it funny how Cowherd and McCoy continue to talk about the Niners overpaid Purdy? Yeah, it's just it's funny, AJ, how the 49ers are being discredited in the media. And that's what Brock was saying. He says, still, it's stupid. It's just, it makes no sense, but we love it. We thrive off of it. Isaiah Nair. That's a good name to talk about. Maybe we'll talk about him. I'll ask. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what my answer will be. Isaiah Nair is a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. The rookie D lineman. Yeah, I think that's a good one. The rookie D line is a fantastic answer. Let's see. Keep them coming. Do I think Giannis to the Golden State? I don't think the Warriors can Giannis. I'm not gonna jinx it, man. I'm not gonna say yes. Because you know me, I jinx everything in the Bay. So I'm not gonna tell you he is. I'm not gonna tell you he's not. I just hope I'm gonna say we'll see what happens. We'll see. We'll leave it up to fate. Before we leave, I want to go over some of these quotes from Brock Purdy he was on 957 The Game. I talked to some of the quotes he had from KNBR this morning, but I want to go over some of these quotes he had on 957 The Game. So he was a busy guy today. So Brock Purdy, he says, they asked him, did anything happen this week? He goes, yeah, just my future with the Niners. I got extended and couldn't be happier, more grateful to be here with an amazing teammates and amazing organization. So again, he's happy to be here. He tells the organization he's, beyond blessed. And this one right here was my favorite quote of today. So they said, what are some opinions that made you laugh? And he goes, the whole system quarterback thing, like early, my career, that was funny. I took that as, all right, like I'm a guy that could come in and like do what the coach says and win games because of that. So to me, that was more of a compliment. And I've sort of ran with that. Like he laughed when people called him a system quarterback. And he's like, okay, whatever. I'm a 7th round pick. I came in, coaches tell me to do it and I'm doing it. Like, yeah, okay, you might think I'm a system quarterback. Now he's got the last laugh. The man just made $53 million a year. He made $265 million for being a system quarterback. So at the end of the day, Brock gets the last laugh. And then his relationship with Kyle, he said, hearing him tell me that, that he's got my back and he's in it with me for the long haul and we want to do it together. We want to win together. And so to me, that means a lot. And I know he's got my back and I got his. So he's very, appreciative of Kyle, and Kyle gave him a chance. At the end of the day, again, we talked about all the quarterback drama and the controversy. And last night when I was at the Dwight Clark Legacy Series, George Kittle noted, he's like, I had 9 or 10 quarterbacks throughout this time with my Niners, and now he finally has some stability. So it's kind of nice for him. And you're right. Kyle trusts Brock Purdy, and he that's his guy. He's vouched for him many, many times. So Brock Purdy, again, he talked about the vibes. They asked him about the vibes among the team. He says, I'm not obviously saying this because I'm a quarterback and all that, but everyone came back, phase one and already ready to roll. And everyone in the locker room, guys, hanging out outside of football and then obviously on the field and in the weight room, like just every day there's been juice and energy. This is good because obviously we're building our commitment to each other and camaraderie. He talked about one more. Oh, this was another. Oh, yeah. He says, so they asked him on not losing focus despite, what he gets paid, right? He says, just because I get paid more doesn't mean I should change my process or mindset or anything. So he says, I'm going to continue to do what I've done. So he says, yeah, I got paid more money. I still got to go out there and prove myself. And this is what I was saying this week with Larry. Yeah, he got paid, but it doesn't change. He's still Brock Purdy. He's still got to go out there and win games. Still got to make the throws. He's still got to go out there and prove himself because there are many doubters, right? We know how many doubters there are. We just talked about it, Colin Cowherd and et cetera, et cetera. They're doubting him, and he has to go out there, play his ass off, and prove those people wrong. So good stuff, man. Brock Purdy, he's a good interview. Like, you listen to him, I just can't hate on the guy. Yeah, sometimes he throws a pick, and you're like, oh, fuck, man. But he's a good dude. He's trying his best. He's 7th-round pick. He's making the most amazing story in the NFL, right? Kurt Warner's was good. Tom Brady's was good. And Brock Purdy's is a unbelievable story. If he wins a Super Bowl, get the movie script. Put me in the movie. I hope they cast me and reach out. Hey, can you be RS of 49er Super Vet? Please, put me in the movie. Put me in the Brock Purdy movie, baby. Last thing, Brock Purdy was asked about Tyrese Halliburton. What the holly? His crazy shot last night in New York. He says, we knew that was going in from the moment it left his hand. Let's be real. He says, I'm so excited for him and just what he's done, the whole playoff run so far, and just the competitive nature that Tyrese has and the energy that he brings to the team. I'm pulling for him, and I hope that, you can pull it off and pull off the whole thing. That'll be awesome, and I got his back. Like, those two guys were classmates at Iowa State. And it's kind of interesting because Brock Purdy, we know how much he is doubted, right? He's an underdog. Nobody believes in him. They say he's overrated. He's a system quarterback. Tyrese Halliburton also. Like, I know I love the Warriors. I wish the Warriors would have drafted this guy. This guy was on the Kings a few years back. He traded him to Indiana, and this guy was voted the most overrated player in the NBA. Are you absolutely out of your mind? This guy has hit clutch shots after clutch shots. Listen, the Pacers, I've watched the whole playoffs this year. This Pacers team was down like 9 points, 8 points, 15 points with like several minutes to go in fourth quarters on 3 different teams. And it came back. I think the stat was like 7+ points within 2 minutes to go in a game, and they've won those games. They won it. They did one against Milwaukee. They did it against Cleveland, and now they did it against New York. Like, Tyrese Halliburton deserves some respect, and I like that these two guys are, they're boys. They went to Iowa State together. They had a class together. They support each other. I'm rooting for Tyrese Halliburton. Now that the Warriors are out, I'm rooting for my guy Holly, man. He's a cool dude, and he wears the Brock Purdy gear. So, yeah. Julia says, is the gap of Brock's first and second contract the biggest gap in NFL history? It's got to be, man. You have to think $900K to $53 million a year. There's got to be the biggest gap of all time. I don't think there's any. I haven't looked it up officially, but I'm pretty sure. Like, there's no way there was another player that got that much money and started off any less, right? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think any quarterback or any player, this is the 7th highest paid quarterback or contract in the NFL, $53 million. He's getting $900K, dude. His workout bonus now is more than his annual salary. His workout bonus is more than he was getting paid a year. This shit's crazy. So, amazing, man. So Hodge says, I'm glad the team chemistry is getting better. Me too. Last year was bad. You had Debo choking out the long snap, bro. When your wide receivers choking out the long snapper, things are bad, bro. It was bad last year. So I'm really happy that things are looking up. I'm totally 100% agreeing with what you just said there. So shout out to the Niners, man. I'll talk to you guys a little later. If there's more news, we'll be here. I think the only news that can really hype us up a little bit more is if they drop the jerseys, man. So anyways, I'm going to go watch some NBA basketball. I'm probably going to fall asleep. I'm not going to lie to you. Memphis and OKC, it hasn't really moved the needle for me, but I got to watch the basketball playoffs because I'm a sports guy. So love you guys. Take care. And we'll talk to you later. I'll be live with Larry on KNBR, the sports leader, about 6:15, 6:30. Talk to y'all soon.